smaller one. Oh wait, we forgot the
you highlight the one who needs to know?
Yeah,
Question?
Yeah, which one?
Yeah, it's like it's Carcinia or something. That one is the one. Carcinia. Something like that. Start with
All right. Okay, 30 more seconds.
So, wait, but I was here.
How
Calcaneus.
Japan travel.
All right, finish up in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Again, today my goal is to finish this PowerPoint, talk about muscle physiology, how does the muscle actually contract. And then we will just review as much as we can. Test on Friday. Hopefully, a lot of you guys can boost your grade. I'll also be handing out some anatomy bucks for some review games that we're going to play in the coming days. Okay, so study as much as you can. Try to do good on this Unit 2 test. Some of you guys did really well, so try to maintain that as we jump into this Unit 2. We'll start Unit 3 after the senior trip break on the second week of September. Okay? And after that, I think we only have like 4 more weeks. So we'll try to get through as much as we can. All right, let me pray for us, and then we'll jump into our last PowerPoint for Unit 2. Let's pray. Father God, thank you so much for this day. Thank you for my students. I pray that as we begin this pretty hectic, busy week, a lot of assignments due, a lot resting on our grades, I pray that you would help us to stay focused, to stay disciplined, to stay organized, to keep our stress and anxiety levels at a low, to do things that will contribute to being effective as a student and growing in every aspect of our lives, physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And so please help us in this class as we finish out this PowerPoint, as we talk about the wonders of muscle contraction, how complicated it is, and as we seek to understand the theory behind it. I pray that it would bring you honor, and it would also help us to be able to better appreciate all of these contractions that we do every single day. So please help me to teach, help us to learn from one another, and we pray this in Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so we ended last class by talking about muscle structure. And I don't know if we added this to your picture, so maybe, or to your paper, so just to double check, I want to make sure you have this. So turn to page 37. And we went over this bottom picture here. For the organization of the muscle, this is going to be very important when we talk about how does a muscle actually work. So just to recap, when we go from big to small, you have to know the order. On the test, I might say, what is the order of muscle organization from largest to smallest, or smallest to largest? So at the largest, you have muscle. That is the organ. So if you didn't write that down above muscle. Muscles are the organs of the muscular system. I mean, hopefully that's pretty obvious. Every single muscle is an organ. Biceps is an organ. Each individual muscle of the hamstring is an organ. The vastus medialis is an organ. Okay? That's the organ level. Today is 26th of August. Okay, muscles, however, are made out of smaller strands called fascicles. Fascicles are made out of smaller strands called muscle fibers. Right down above muscle fibers, those are the cells of the muscular system. Muscle fibers. So it's nice, right? Muscles are the organs, muscle fibers are the cells. All these weird names are other things. Okay? In the muscle fiber, however, there are even smaller strands called myofibrils. Above the myofibril, write organelle. A myofibril is actually an organelle inside the muscle cell. Okay, myofibril. So muscle fibers are filled with these specialized organelles called myofibrils. Myofibrils are made out of two myofilaments. We have actin, or what we call thin filaments, and then myosin, which are thick filaments. Myosin kind of look like golf clubs. They look like golf clubs. Okay, myosin and actin. Those are proteins, by the way. Myosin and actin are proteins. And then I want you to think back to Unit 1, how I talked about chromosome, right? In terms of genetic material, chromosome is the biggest. You unravel that, you have chromatin, good. You unravel that, you have DNA, and then a section of that DNA is called a gene. Yeah, very good. A section of the myofibril, the basic structure of a muscle, is what we call a sarcomere. So we're going to be examining that in depth today. A sarcomere. Did I say sarcomere? A sarcomere. So your muscle at the basic unit is made out of millions of these sarcomeres. That is the most basic unit. It's on your paper right here. SARCOMERE. Sorry, it's pixelated. Okay, sarcomere. Okay, sarcomeres are the most basic unit of the muscle. Most basic unit of the muscle. It's like a gene is the most basic unit of the DNA. Okay, so I want you to do this. I want you to flex your forearm, your flexor muscles in your forearm. Okay, and I want you to be able to appreciate what's going on here. As you guys are doing that, as you guys are just squeezing your hands, okay, you are using up probably about 10,000 ATPs, 10,000 ATP molecules. Okay, those actin and myosins, every time you flex, those actin and myosins grab each other, and your muscles are flooded with millions of calcium ions galore. As you guys flex and move your muscles, millions of calcium ions, thousands of ATP molecules, and these actin myosin guys are doing crazy things, and you don't even think about that. Okay, but that is generally what happens on the test. I'm going to give you one of the test questions. Okay, I think it's worth 8 points. It's worth a lot of points. It's a short answer question, and it's open ended. It's going to ask you, explain what is happening in a muscle contraction to the best of your ability. Okay, and that is what we're going to cover today. This is the end of the PowerPoint, and it is complicated. So track with me. It will help for next chapter, because the next chapter, Unit 3, is about nerves. And so when you flex, your nerve is telling your muscle to flex. This is a good introduction to next chapter. But here's the thing. I'm going to help you guys out. I'm going to show you a video first, and then explain what's going on in the video. Okay, because there's a whole process and mechanism that happens. So yeah, flip to the next page. This is going to be on the next page. Actually, next page. Yeah. So page. What is that, Eddie? 39 and 40. Okay, 39 and 40 is basically how does the muscle contract. 39 is a better picture because it even has like a neuron in the top left. Okay, that's a nerve cell. Okay. So as the video goes through this, don't try to write down anything. Just try to soak in what's happening. Try to understand what's happening. Okay. Full focus on the video. Here we go. So 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Here's how it goes. Muscle contraction. By the way, this is a theory of what happens, because obviously we cannot watch what happens when you're contracting. So this is just a theory. This is how we think it works. Okay. Okay. So you guys see how it's coming closer, right? The actin and myosin are coming closer together. So when you flex, so like when you flex your bicep, so flex your bicep really quickly, okay? When you flex your bicep, you notice it gets shorter. The muscle gets shorter. And the reason the best theory we have is that all these small units are getting shorter and shorter, which overall makes your muscle shorter and contracts. Does that kind of make sense? All right, keep watching. Okay, you guys got that? Not too bad, right? I chose this video specifically. There's like 50 videos on this, but this video was short and it had the main thing. So here's some things to notice. I want you to jot this down on your paper. Where is it? Okay, the first thing that has to happen is that your brain consciously tells, for example, we'll use your bicep to contract, right? You control when you're contracting your bicep. So your brain, your neuron, that yellow thing is a neuron. So this thing in the top left-hand corner, that is a neuron from your brain. Because you consciously, so label it as a neuron from your brain. Those are the nerve cell. Those are the cells of the nervous system, neuron. Okay. And then just jot this down for now. We'll talk about what it means later. I'm not going to go over it in depth until next chapter. But it does this thing called an action potential. So write down action potential next to neuron. You can abbreviate it as AP, action potential. It is a fancy word for an electrical shock or electrical impulse. Okay? So electrical, your bodies are electric right now. It's just crazy. Okay? You send an electrical signal from your brain to your bicep. And your bicep releases this neurotransmitter called ACH. So circle the ACH. Those are the little blue dots. Okay. And then label it as a neurotransmitter. Long word, neurotransmitter. Okay, those blue dots are a neurotransmitter. It is a chemical. Yeah, those little blue dots. It's labeled as ACH. Right? On your paper, it's labeled as ACH. ACH, you got to know this for the test. ACH stands for acetylcholine, and it is a neurotransmitter for your muscles. Acetylcholine. Can you guys say acetylcholine? Okay, acetylcholine. It is the main neurotransmitter for stuff for your muscles. Okay, acetylcholine. Have you guys heard of dopamine? Yeah. Dopamine is also a neurotransmitter. Okay, but dopamine is released not for your muscles, but for like when you experience pleasure or like something you like. You eat your favorite food, dopamine is released. You win at that brain training game, you get a high score, dopamine release. You smoke an e-cig, dopamine release. Okay. You have sex, orgasm, dopamine release. Okay. Yeah. So this is not that. This is acetylcholine. This is for just muscles. Yes. Question.
So if you get struck by lightning, do you like die because you got struck by lightning, or because it like threw off your electrical?
Oh, good question. If you get shocked by lightning, yeah, since you yourself are electric, the lightning will travel through your body into the ground, and in doing so, it will probably disrupt your heart, and your heart will stop, and you'll die.
So you die from the electricity, not like the actual impact of getting hit.
Probably, yeah. Same thing with the outlet, right? You stick your fork in the outlet or your finger in the outlet. Electricity always finds the path of least resistance. Anybody in AP Physics? See? No, shucks. Okay, they're just talking about this the other day. The path of least resistance are probably your blood vessels. So it'll go through your blood vessels. That's why it'll probably hit your heart and then go out of your body. Yeah. So you'll have a hole probably in your toe or something. Yeah. Don't do that. Yeah, don't get shocked. Okay. Acetylcholine though is a neurotransmitter for your muscles. What is a neurotransmitter for your muscles? Acetylcholine. Okay. So that gets released. Okay. So if we're to do it step by step, okay, let's label some steps. Step 1, your neuron does an action potential. That is number 1. Okay. Electrical shock from your brain, and we can actually measure the electrical impulse from your brain to your muscle. Okay. Step 2, acetylcholine gets released into that little gap between the muscle and the neuron. Okay, acetylcholine gets released. Okay, acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter, it's a chemical. Okay, the acetylcholine goes into the muscle cell, and then the actual number one on your paper starts. Okay, but you can summarize that as calcium gets released in the muscle. Okay, calcium gets released. You see all the little CAs with the 2 plus. Okay, going back to some chemistry there. Those are calcium ions. They are released into your muscle. Okay, a whole bunch of them, millions upon millions of calcium are released. Okay, that's step 3. Okay, step 3 is the calcium gets released. So every time you flex, you need calcium. And that's why if you're not drinking calcium, where is your body going to get it from? Your bones. Yeah, your bones have tons of calcium. Okay, so that's why you always want to be intaking. Calcium is a very important nutrient. You got to intake calcium. Okay. How do you know you have enough? Good question. We'll talk about that when we talk about nutrition. Yeah, but usually on how like on the nutritional facts it says 20% calcium.
So I just won't know until we talk about nutrition.
Yeah, we'll say that for nutrition. Okay, but you get calcium from a lot of different things. Milk, leafy greens have a lot of calcium. A lot of like juices have calcium mixed into it already, like supplementally. Yeah. Okay. But calcium, calcium's super important. If you don't have enough, it's gonna start taking it from your bones. Osteoclasts will start breaking it down, putting it into your bloodstream for your bones. Okay. Step 4, okay, which is actually step 3 on your paper, I believe. Yeah, step 3 on the paper. Okay. Calcium binds to another protein called troponin. Okay. Here, okay, troponin. Okay, there's a lot of things that sound very similar, but there's this protein called troponin. It's green on this picture. It binds to troponin and it moves it out of the way. Okay, troponin, its job is to block so that you're not contracting forever. Okay, if you didn't have troponin blocking the actin filament binding site, your muscle would be contracted for forever.
Like you can uncontract it.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to uncontract it.
So that
Yeah.
would happen during times.
Yeah, so exactly, right? When you exercise too much, right, and you are running out of what? It's particularly something similar to ADP. ATP, when you run out of ATP, this doesn't function as well, and your muscle cannot relax as well, right? Because it cannot undo itself. Okay, so yeah, calcium, it moves troponin out of the way. Okay, and step 5. Okay, this is step 5. Step 5 is that the myosin and actin they bind together. Okay, actin and myosin they bind together, and they do this thing called power stroke. That's like number 4 on your paper at the bottom. Okay, they bind together, and the little head, the little golf club, kind of moves, and it power strokes. It brings it closer together. It shortens the muscle. Okay. Overall, big view, we see the muscle shortening when that happens. Okay. So we have this little power stroke here. Okay, look, see, so those myosin, they go from here to here. Okay, power stroke. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, every time you contract, boom, boom. That's what's happening. Okay, so at the molecular level, it's doing that. At the big level, it's also doing that. Okay, power stroke. Okay, and then lastly, in order to relax the muscle, ATP goes in there and it unlatches this, and troponin moves back into its spot to block it until you're ready to contract again. Okay, that's like what step are we on? Like 6. Okay, step 6. Yeah, step 6, ATP goes in there. Okay, is it on here? Oh yeah, here we go. It's kind of in the previous step. Release of energy by ATP. Okay, it breaks this chain. Okay, so you need ATP to actually relax the muscle. Okay, you need ATP to relax the muscle. You need ATP to flex your muscle. You need ATP twice. Okay, so here that's the reason why you start cramping. Usually your calf muscles get it first, or your hamstrings get it a lot too. Okay, what does it feel like when you cramp? For those of you who have never cramped, there's a little ball, right? And what happens to that ball? What does it feel like? Okay, it's tight, right? You cannot relax. So how do you undo a cramp? You stretch it and you try to just massage it to get that cramp out, right? Yeah. So you're trying to force it to like break those little cross bridges. Okay. This is also the reason why when you die, what happens? Rigor mortis. Think back to Ana Garcia. What happens to Ana Garcia? What happens when you have rigor mortis? Your body stiffens for like a couple hours. And the reason is because you don't have ATP anymore. So what can your muscles not do? They can't relax, actually. They can't relax when you die. So you're stiff as like a plank for like a couple hours. Okay, that's called rigor mortis. Okay, it's because you don't have ATP. Okay? All right. And then, yeah, after what was that? Step 6, ATP releases. Okay, now everything resets. Calcium goes back to normal. Troponin goes back. Okay, resets for the next contraction. Good. Does that make sense? All right. So if you can describe those 6 steps, you'll get all 8 points on the test. Okay. So try that with your neighbor. Start from step 1. See if you can explain what is going on in a muscle contraction in 2 minutes. Go.
Wait, how many is it? 8 steps?
6 to 8 steps.
Okay. Brain structure, yeah, goes to calcium release, and then calcium binds which causes contraction.
Myosin binds together.
After that,
That's what muscle shortens.
your body sends ATP.
ATP goes in. And then it just
Every time I
yeah.
charge my
And then it
calcium,
goes back into right. It goes back into it turns back into the ATP.
how do we make it overstay?
Wait, can you spin yours?
Yeah.
About 30 more seconds.
Why do sometimes your bones feel tight?
What do you mean your bones feel tight?
Do your bones not feel tight? Like my hips always feel tight.
Like your joint, maybe?
Yeah, the joint.
Yeah, so when you exercise, right, because you're using it so much, what happens when you use a rubber band too much?
It loses its elasticity.
It gets hot, right?
It's all stretched out.
Yeah, it's just used up. So yeah.
Too much.
Okay, finish up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So again, I'm gonna go through it one more time, and then we're gonna move on. So what happens is, okay, so we're at the sarcomere level. We're at that level down there. Okay, sarcomere level. If we blow it up, looks like this. There's all these different bands. I could test you on like these specific parts, but I'm not. You got to know the overall picture of what happens. So when you contract, what happens to this picture? It comes together. Good. These little bumps, which are the myosin, they grab onto this and they pull closer to the middle of this. So here's a picture of that. Okay. Notice this is when it's relaxed. This is when it's contracted. Okay. What we call the A band kind of shortens, and that overall shortens your muscle. All right. So that's all these words. You need ATP. So that's why your muscles are filled with ATP. They're filled with mitochondria. You need tons of mitochondria for your skeletal cells. Out of all the other cells in your body, your muscle cells have the most mitochondria because it needs tons of ATP. All right. So here at the very small level, right, you have calcium, these little blue balls, they bind to troponin. Troponin tells this other protein called tropomyosin to move out of the way. And that allows actin to bind right here. The myosin to bind to the actin. Actin are the thin filaments. Myosin is the thick filaments. There's a power stroke that happens. This little guy flexes it, and that's what pulls everything together. ATP unlatches it, and then it resets. Myosin, troponin, and tropomyosin kind of go back to normal. Okay. We could go into this more. This is the action potential part, right? Your neurons send an action potential. Again, we'll look at that next chapter. So here's a picture of your neuron, and we're just looking at the very end of it where it connects to the muscle. Jot this down on your paper because we'll come back to it next chapter. But this part here, right where it connects neuron to muscle, there's a specific name for this connection. It is called a neuromuscular junction. Okay, that's an important term. Not really important for our unit, but it'll be important later. Just to introduce it to you, that is called the neuromuscular junction. And it's nice, right? Because it's a neuron connected to a muscle, neuromuscular. Junction just means it connects, right? So if I say, what is this picture of? Generally speaking, big bird's eye view, it is a neuromuscular junction. It's where the neuron attaches to the muscle, okay? Neuromuscular junction. We already talked about neurotransmitters. Acetylcholine is a big one for muscles. We talked about dopamine is another one. For sleep, anyone know what the neurotransmitter is? Okay, melatonin is a neurotransmitter that kind of makes you go to sleep. Those are like the biggest three. Those are the biggest three that you might have heard of. All right. Okay, finishing out this PowerPoint. So force. How can, and Ellie and I were talking about this earlier. How do you, when you work out, what is actually happening? How come you get stronger as you work out? Okay, like, is it because you're getting more of them, or is it because they're just getting bigger? Your muscle fibers are getting bigger. What do you guys think? Okay, you're getting more muscle fibers, or are muscle fibers getting bigger? Okay, yeah. So a lot of people think, oh, when you're working out, you're just getting more muscle cells. That's actually not true. When you work out, and some of you probably like, what needs to happen when you want your muscle to get bigger, Riley? What has to happen? What? You have to tear the muscle fibers. Okay? You have to tear them. You have to rip them. Okay, and that's why it's sore after. That's why you have to take a couple days to recover. You have to rip those muscle fibers. But when you rip them, just like your bones, guess what happens? It grows back bigger and stronger. Yeah. And that's why your muscles get bigger when you rip them. So if you work out and you don't have any pain the next day, chances are, you didn't rip any muscle fibers. You're not gonna get bigger or stronger. Okay. How can you increase the force? If I'm lifting my iPad versus flipping this table, what has to happen? Okay, 3 different things. And I think this is on your gym kit. Not super important for your tests. Jot this down on 41. Go to 41. This is where we'll leave off. Okay, how do we generate more force with your muscle? Just jot it down at the top. Okay, jot down at the top. When I'm lifting something super heavy, the difference between that and lifting something light is that number one, my neuron is going to stimulate the muscle more. Okay, and we'll do a lab third quarter, hopefully, that will showcase this. Okay, but your brain will be like telling your muscle flex, 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 flex. It's going to be telling it a lot more when you're trying to lift something heavy. Okay, number two, it's going to increase the amount of muscle fibers and sarcomeres that are activated. Okay, I only need only a few muscle fibers to lift my iPad. I might need all of my muscle fibers when I'm trying to lift the table. Does that make sense? Okay. And lastly, number three, okay, the bigger the muscle fiber, the more force that can be generated. That's why if you have big muscles, chances are you can lift heavier things. Okay, the bigger the muscle, bulkier the muscle, more tension that can be built up by that muscle. Okay, you want to tear them in order to make them bigger. Okay, so those are the three ways. That's the difference between lifting something light versus heavy. Okay, your brain has to work harder. You recruit more sarcomeres, and then the size also matters. Okay, the bigger your muscle fibers are, the more force you can generate. Okay, turn to your neighbor real quick, see if you can recall those three things for increasing force, and then we'll move on real quick. Okay, finish up in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, very last thing. And it's unfortunate this was at the very end of the lesson because a lot of you guys have this for Gym Kit like over and over again. Okay, the different levers. Okay, the different levers. So a lot of anatomy has a lot of physics inside of it, whether you know it or not. A lot of anatomy has chemistry in it, whether you know it or not. And so we're going to finish off by talking about levers in physics. And I don't think we cover it too much at HBA, but there's these different like tools that we've invented that give us an advantage. That's why it's called leverage, right? When you have leverage on something. For example, a crowbar, when you're ripping nails out with a crowbar, you're using leverage. If you're using a wheelbarrow, you can carry things way heavier than you would be otherwise because of leverage. Okay, you're using leverage to do all these things. Same thing with your muscles. Your muscles can use leverage. So there's 3 different kinds of levers in your body. The first one is a first-class lever. The way I remember, I have some hand motions for this as well. For this first one, first-class lever, I want you to do, what's that thing called? Football. What is that football thing where you do the thing and the little football? What's that called? What is that game called where you flick the little triangle through the field goal? Paper football, right? When you flick something, right? How many fingers is being used when you do that? Well, how many things are flicking the football? Just one. Okay. So first class lever is when you flick something. Is when you lift something with like a what is it called? Like a seesaw. Okay, a seesaw kind of motion. Okay, seesaw when you're just like lifting something with just a one finger. Okay, that's a first lever. First class lever. Okay, first class lever. Best example is your head, right? When your head is like flicking something like that. Okay, that is a first class lever. Also your fingers, right? When you're doing this motion, first class lever. Okay, you guys got that? First class lever. Second one is a second class lever. Okay, so I want you to make like 2 legs like this and go like this. Okay, this. When you tippy toe, when you do this with 2, this is a second class lever, 2 feet. This when you're lifting a wheelbarrow, and also the best example is your calf muscle. That's a second class lever. Okay, second class lever. Okay, The difference between these, by the way, is where the fulcrum or the point of leverage is. Okay, fulcrum in the wheelbarrow, second class lever, is at the very end. For this one, the fulcrum is in the middle. Okay, and then we'll see for the last type of lever, it's on the same side. Okay, and then lastly, third class lever. Okay, you guys are gonna be Wolverine. Third class lever. Do bicep curls with your third class lever Wolverine claws. Okay. Your biceps is a third class lever. Okay. Whenever your fulcrum is on the opposite side of where you're trying to lift, that's a third class lever. Okay. Yeah. So your elbow is the fulcrum. Okay. Elbow is a fulcrum. In the wheelbarrow, okay, the fulcrum is on your toes. Okay, it's opposite of your load. This one, it's on the same side of your load. Okay, and then head is in between your load, right? Your head is heavy. Fulcrum is like your neck, and your neck muscles pull it back over the fulcrum. Okay, all right. Try that with your neighbor, and then we're done with PowerPoints. 3 different levers.
Third level.
That's not a good one. First level. So first one is right. It's like I will do it. It kind of helps me. It's like
Okay, before we do this prime time, actually, whoops. Before we do this prime time, just like last class, I'm just gonna run through these prime time questions. You'll have about a minute and a half to answer them with your neighbor, as many of them as you can. I'll be posting this on Google Classroom. A lot of these are good review questions. So we'll finish this out for today. On Wednesday, we will have anatomy game day review day. The review will be worth anatomy bucks. So try to study before that day so that you can do well and gain a lot of anatomy bucks on Wednesday. Okay, we'll play a mixture of special Gimkit games. Okay, as well as I'll be visually audibly quizzing you. Okay, but here we go. Prime time questions. Answer this with your neighbor. This is not worth anatomy bucks. This is just to kind of jog your memory for the whole chapter. Also, turn to the beginning of Unit 2. A lot of these match the objectives that you should be studying. Okay, these objectives are what I'm basing the test off of. So make sure you study those objectives. Okay, try that with your neighbor. Go. Minute and a half.
Oh yeah, it's connected.
Yeah. Oh, don't get that one wrong. Name that type of tissue. There's 4 different tissues.
I feel like it's just
Okay, finish up in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Any questions on these? Last one. This type of connective tissue that provides nourishment to the bone. What provides nourishment to the bone? Blood. So what is blood? Blood is what type of tissue? Connective tissue. Yeah, blood is connective tissue. Yeah. Okay, all of these are either connective, nervous, muscle, or epithelial tissue. Okay. Blood vessels, epithelial tissue, right? Lines the blood vessels. Okay. For what type of muscle tissue works with bones? There's cardiac, skeletal, or smooth. Smooth. No, not smooth. Skeletal. Yeah. Skeletal. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna share this. Okay. Moving on. Here we go. Next. Oh. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Wait.
I thought it was.
Yeah, but this way.
Oh yeah. Wait. Yeah.
Either muscle to muscle or muscle.
Okay, any questions on these? Hopefully these are super easy. I'll go over one question per slide. Going once. Red bone marrow makes red blood cells. Yeah, makes blood cells. Yeah. Okay. Which includes the limbs and girdles and attaches them to the rest of the body. What is this part of the skeleton called? Appendicular skeleton. You have axial skeleton, appendicular skeleton. Yeah, appendages. Yeah. All right, go. Name that bone.
Shoulder blades. Oh yeah, sorry.
Make sure you can spell it on the test. Gotta be able to smell it. It's the big one. Back. And then coccyx is a small tailbone. Okay, finish in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Any of these? Hopefully pretty easy. Okay. Next. Why is my thing not working? Okay, there we go. Go. Classify the following bones.
Oh my god.
Classify them. Long, flat, short, irregular.
Oh no, that's your flagellar. Isn't it? What's the console? Oh, per something.
Coxos your hips.
I know that.
Yeah, you were doing that.
Okay, finish in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Any questions on this one? Go once, go on twice. Bones of the craniums on the head. What are they? Okay, what type of bone? Flat bones. These are all flat bones. Okay. Yeah, flat bones. Long bones. Yeah. Okay, go. Name those structures.
No, that's your jaw. Yellow marrow bones. Yeah. It's nine.
4 is like 5.
Yeah.
Five.
2 is like.
3 is the
Finish in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anyone question? Number 2. What is the second layer under the periosteum that doesn't have any holes? Compact bone. Compact bone. Okay. Yeah. 5 is the periosteum or the cartilage. Yeah. Okay. Next, go. Name that bone.
Oh, on the
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Calcanium. The what else? The rest. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, finish in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One question.
The last one.
Last one. Hip bones are your coxal bones. Coxal bones. Yeah. Just know it as coxal bones. Yeah. I know there's different parts to it, but you just have to know for the test coxal bones. Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay. Next. Okay. Yeah. Do this one. Skip 3 and 4. Skip 3 and 4.
What is the process of Is that like a
We have to be specific because the game kit is
Not,
like.
yeah, yeah. I know the game kit asks you which one it is.
I'm technically right.
Yeah.
Like,
this hurts my brain. Wait,
Finish in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Which question? One question. Number 1. Process of bone formation, fibrous membranes is called intramembranous ossification. I am testing you on just ossification. Ossification is turning whatever it is into bone. Okay, but specifically it's intramembranous versus endochondral. Okay, intramembranous ossification. Sure. Ossification. Okay, ossi is what is bone. Yeah, os whatever. Okay, next, structurally classify these joints based upon what they look like. Okay, what these guys look like. Structurally classify these joints.
Connect bones and collagen fibers. Oh wait. I feel like I know. It sounds so familiar.
Oh, fibrous joints.
Cartilage.
Oh, I remember this. Sad.
Oh, it's your birthday. Wait, connect bones with collagen fibers.
Okay, finish in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Any questions for this one?
1 and 2.
I can do one of them. Pick one.
1.
One is fibrous joints. Collagen fibers, fibrous joints. It's either fibrous joints, cartilaginous, or synovial. Okay, collagen, cartilaginous, fibrous, or synovial. Okay, functionally classify these guys. This one is a weird one. The arthroses.
The third class. Wait, are we talking about that? I think it might be.
Your options are diarthroses, synarthroses, amphiarthroses.
This one, they don't move. Oh, majority of the is not. Wait, sad. Yes. Wait. Oh no, it's not really great where this
Okay, so like
It's like free movement.
Finish in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Questions. Going once, going twice. 4. Hip joint freely moving is a diarthrosis. Diarthrosis. Okay. All right. Next, here we go. Whoops. Name that kind of. Actually, not all these are named that kind of joint, but yeah. Answer the question.
The last one, the last one. First class.
Okay. What are these guys?
First class.
So they're not levers. What type of joint? There's ball and socket. There's condylar.
This is
gliding.
Finish in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Any questions on these? I can do one. 5. All of these joints would functionally be classified as, since they can freely move, diarthroses. Synarthroses cannot move. Okay, so these would be diarthroses. Structurally, they'd be synovial joints. Okay, next. Okay, name the type of movement described. Shrugging your shoulders, releasing a bicep curl.
Wait, how do you move that? Is it this one? No, that's strong. Like plain joint? Maybe like shrugging? Oh wait, no. The next one is shrugging. Shrugging is this one.
Elevation and
Okay, finish in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One question. Plane joint movement at the plane joint gliding. Gliding. Okay, gliding. Yeah. Okay, next. What causes these movements? Actually, yeah, we'll skip this one. I'm not testing you on this. This is like isometric versus isotonic. So wall sit is isometric. You're not moving. If you're moving, if you're not moving, it's isometric. Okay, but you don't have to know that. Okay, 4 functions of the muscular system. Go. What do they do?
structure. Posture, stabilize joints, generate heat, and force for movement.
Wait, I thought there's
Slowly to read that off the slide.
That's for bones.
That's for bones.
Bones is structure, support, store stuff. They make red blood cells, and yeah, we only have like 3 more minutes left. But up to you. Yeah.
Should I just wait? No, I'm gonna just.
Okay, finish in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Any questions on one of these? Okay.
No, yeah.
All right, moving on. 2 more. We'll try to do 2 more. How do muscle contractions help body temperature? Super easy. Like when you're cold, they shiver, generates heat. Okay. Okay, try this one. This might be your last. Oh wait, you still have 3 more minutes. Diaphragm is a blank in breathing. External intercostals, your rib muscles. Forearm is this. Forearm flexion is this. So what is the main muscle in this? Don't think too hard.
Bicep.
Your bicep. Okay, finish in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Any questions on these guys? 1. Diaphragm is a prime mover in inspiration. External intercostals, your ribs are synergists. They help out. Synergists.
I know nothing.
Okay, last question. Last one. Put these in order from smallest to largest. Which one is a muscle cell? Smallest to largest. Myofibril, muscle fiber, fascicle, and then muscle is the biggest. And what is a muscle cell? Muscle fiber. All right. No. We have like 15 minutes. You're gonna burst. You're not gonna make it.
I think I'm gonna be ripped after today because I'm super sore. It's like the second day too.
Well, you gotta eat.
Like usually I'm like super sore. Like it was like sore the day of. Usually that doesn't.
It's just the second day after.
Yeah.
All right, see you guys. Have a great day.
So I'm still feeling around.
Have a great day. Goodbye. Have a great day. Good work for today. Yep. Okay.
And Friday because I have a volleyball trip. So can I take the test like tomorrow during my independent?
When is your independence?
Or actually E period.
Good.
Okay.
Okay.
In the library or
Yeah, have to be. Wait. Yep. See ya. Yep. You're welcome. Yeah, I'll put it in the library. Thanks, Caroline. Yep. Taking it early.
yeah.
No, you gotta usually like a good time is like 18 flat.